Out of the way, and it's been such an exciting 40 Days for Life campaign this spring. This is the largest spring campaign we've ever had. Last fall was the largest fall campaign. There were 301 cities that were doing exactly what we're doing here today. And right now, as we're here, there are 257 other cities across the country and around the world coming to the epitome of the front lines. Not where abortion is debated or voted on, but where it actually occurs every single day in many places across the country. And we're joined by those 257 other cities to bring hope to the babies, certainly the last hope for them as they walk in to this abortion facility, but also the first sign of mercy to the women as they leave the abortion facility. No one grows up wanting an abortion, and no one grows up wanting to work in the abortion industry. And when we launched 40 Days for Life as a nationally coordinated effort in the fall of 2007, we really had no idea what God had in store. Most of you know that 40 Days for Life started as a very simple, peaceful, grassroots effort in College Station, Texas, a community of about 200,000 people. And we did that first campaign after 1 hour of prayer around an old wooden table when myself and David B. Wright, my wife, decided to launch a 40-day, 24-hour, non-stop peaceful vigil outside of our local Planned Parenthood abortion facility. And as that effort dropped our local abortion numbers by 28%, we decided to launch it nationally in the fall of 2007. And since then, we've seen 442 cities in all 50 states in several countries participate in this peaceful effort that happens every fall and every spring. And one of the most amazing things that we've seen are those 61 abortion clinic workers who have had conversions and left their jobs. Now, the first time this happened, it was in the fall of 2007, and it was in Rockland County, New York. And of course, when we come out here, although we say we're peaceful, many people in the community think that they don't like us and that we don't like them. And that's not the for Life campaign. And since then, we've had 60 additional workers. I hope many of you have had a chance to watch the video from David and I's trip 2 weeks ago to Iowa, where 2 Planned Parenthood abortion facilities closed their doors. One of those 40 Days for Life campaigns was led by the former manager of that Planned Parenthood. Now, Sue Thayer, who was the manager, she worked for Planned Parenthood not for 6 months or not for 5 years or not for 10 years, but for 17 years she ran an abortion facility. And when she was asked to participate in telemed abortions, which is where the nurse at the facility can text or just send a photo of the ultrasound to the doctor. He could be in his office in a remote location, he could be on the golf course, he could be at the beach, and he approves the RU486 abortion, and a drawer pops out, and that's the telemed abortion, also known as a webcam abortion. Planned Parenthood began to roll this out starting in the state of Iowa, where, ironically enough, they are extremely strong and powerful in the state of Iowa. And so Sue's clinic was one of the first ones to do telemed abortions, and she refused and ended up having a conversion on abortion as a whole. And when she voiced her concern about the increasing abortion numbers, Planned Parenthood fired her. And so a year later, she decided to begin running the 40 Days for Life campaigns right outside the facility that she was the director of. So she saw her coworkers, she saw people she hired, she saw her former staff walk in every single day as she was out there praying. And of course, they just thought she was a nut who got religion. But Sue, over the years, had always adopted children. I think she had over the last 20 years, she's had over 12 adopted children. She now has an adopted 2-year-old boy that she just adopted. And so she was always a very loving person, but the telemed abortion really pushed her over the line. She began to lead the 40 Days for Life campaigns in front of that facility in Storm Lake, Iowa. As a result, Planned Parenthood was forced to close that facility, and its last day in business was on March 1st of 2012, just a couple of weeks ago. So David and I went out for the celebration event. Of all of the 22, which that was the 22nd abortion facility to close following or during a 40 Days for Life campaign, none of the local leaders ever expected those abortion facilities to close. Some of you may remember the story out of La Puente, California. In Los Angeles County, there are 1,287 abortions a month. It's in many ways the abortion capital of America. And yet, the facility in La Puente, California, after 40 Days for Life campaigns, was forced to close their doors forever. So it could be in Storm Lake, Iowa, it could be in La Puente, California, it could be in Queens, New York, where an abortion facility closed that was located just next door to a Dunkin' Donuts in a very dangerous part of Queens. That closed last year. And so you never know what can happen through the power of prayer. There is a lot that we can do on this public right-of-way, and thank God, as of this week anyways, we can still come out and peacefully pray in front of these places where the abortions actually happen. And a lot of times, if you're out here, of course we have a beautiful day today. We can probably thank St. Patrick for that. You probably feel alone. You probably feel like you're not doing any good. This can be a very thankless movement. Most of the babies that are saved you'll never hear about. Abortion is number one for no-shows and appointments. It's usually 25 to 30% nationally. Abby Johnson, the former Planned Parenthood director in College Station, Texas, who had a conversion and walked over right into my office next door, told me that most places with a consistent vigil that are Planned Parenthoods had as high as a 50% no-show rate if they just did abortions once a week. 50% of the women would not even show up, much less the ones that would go inside and then leave, and of course you don't know about them. And so always remember, and even for myself, there have been 5,045 babies that have been saved, that we know of, confirmed saved as a result of people peacefully praying during a 40 Days for Life campaign. And I'd love to tell you that, I've met 3,000 or 4,000 of those children, and we just have a whole poster, a collage of them in our office. We don't. We certainly have emails of pictures of them. I've only met 3 of them in person. David has met 2 of them. But as Mother Teresa says, we don't come out here to see results. We don't come out here because we want to be successful. We come out here because we want to be faithful. And that's what we're called to do. And so it's with great joy that we come to the sidewalk and that we bring hope to a place that has no hope at all, that is the epitome of hopelessness. And it makes sense that in the midst of an otherwise beautiful day there's a park across the street, there's gorgeous houses, it's a beautiful spring day, we have a Holocaust going on in the midst of that. This is how abortion survives. It is a huge injustice. It grants us the most radical autonomy, a self-autonomy that always leads to the destruction of human life. When we determine the value of another human being based on their circumstances, it could be how they were conceived, it could be who the mom is, it could be the circumstances of so many other things that they have no control over as an unborn person. But we have the self-autonomy to determine their worth, to determine their value, and therefore we can do whatever we want with them. And if we want them, it's a blessing and we have a shower, and if we don't, it's a choice and a liberty. This is an extremely dangerous mentality, and this is the mentality that we combat right here on the sidewalks. That they do not have to do this today, and that there is a love beyond their circumstances. Most women don't realize that. Oftentimes, when a woman does turn around during a 40 Days for Life campaign, she'll tell us that she woke up and prayed that God would give her a sign that she did not have to have that abortion today. And without you here, there is no real choice. Planned Parenthood's numbers, who are usually the most accurate, reporting their own numbers anyways, they report 180 abortions for every 1 adoption referral. That's just the referral, according to their own numbers. There is no choice once they get inside that facility. You represent the choice in abortion, and that's why we come out here and we bring joy and we bring hope. And if we come out here and we want to save the world, and it's our first time participating in a 40 Days for Life campaign, or fifth time participating. Some of you have been coming out here for decades, longer than I've been alive. But if we come out here and just try to save the world, we're going to last about 5 or 10 minutes. We're going to get burnt out, we're going to get frustrated, we're going to blame the government, we're going to blame whoever, whatever generation, whatever person, and we're going to leave. But if we come out here with prayer and we take ourselves out of the way, Christ will work miracles. We are simply here to be His hands and His feet, and to offer a love, like I said, that most of the women do not realize is there. That's exactly why those 61 workers have had conversions and left their jobs. None of them expected, at the beginning of the 40 Days for Life campaign in front of their facility, that they would have a change of heart. In fact, that was probably the last thing on their mind. Many of the women going in for abortions that have chosen life don't wake up that morning and expect to actually not go through with the abortion, but they end up choosing life. We now are getting pictures of 3-year-old kids who were saved from the 2007-2008 40 Days for Life campaigns. And so remember those images, remember those in your prayers when you're out here, because it makes a tremendous difference. It is amazing to see how across the country, everyday, average, normal people are doing unbelievable things. Because 40 Days for Life is nothing spectacular. It's prayer, it's fasting, and it's going to the place where the greatest injustice in the history of man takes place every single day. It's not insane or radical or fanatical to be out here. It's simple. And sometimes you may feel a little uncomfortable if people drive by and they tell you that you're number one, or they honk, or they say different things. But if you're ever uncomfortable or feel a little awkward when you're out here, it's not because you're here, it's because they're there. And the reality of what goes on inside those walls hits home. It hits home to the community. That's why abortion, first and foremost, to everyone in our country, is what? It's controversial. And it's controversial because despite 40 years of legalized abortion, we cannot divorce the most sacred bond in our humanity, the bond between a mother and a child, and call it a choice. No matter how we word it, no matter how we phrase it. That's why, after nearly 40 years of legalized abortion, we are as uncomfortable with this issue than we ever have been. Whether it's in our churches, whether it's in our government, whether it's in a presidential nomination, a judicial nomination, abortion pierces the heart like no other issue. And it should, because we take it personally, because these are our brothers and our sisters that are being aborted. These are our brothers and our sisters that are working in the abortion industry, and these are our brothers and our sisters that are going in to have the abortions. And so, overall, there has not been a more successful, in terms of numbers, which we can't rely on, but it is good to know for the encouraging factor, there have been more saves up to this point of a 40 Days for Life campaign than any other campaign we've ever seen. And part of us, when 40 Days for Life was launched, and we are at the wonderful mercy of excellent leaders like Molly, who you have here in Silver Spring, who's leading her 3rd 40 Days for Life campaign. The local campaigns are about the local leaders and local volunteers doing exactly what you're doing here today. This is a grassroots up movement. It is not top down. Otherwise it wouldn't have been successful at all. And as time has passed, most people would think this would be something you would do and get the t-shirt and then never do it ever again. Kind of like Habitat for Humanity. Because it's so hard and you're butting heads with society and it's controversial. But it's been the opposite. We've seen so many, that cat's going to use all its 9 lives. We've seen so many campaigns have repeat campaigns and do it over and over again, and that's why we feel like we're having more lives saved now than ever before. And so I can't thank you enough for being out here. We just have just under 2 weeks left in the 40 Days for Life campaign. We have 5 abortion workers right now that are working. 4 of them work for Planned Parenthood that we are working on. They are about to resign. Please keep them in your prayers. This time of the campaign is usually when we have a lot of workers leave. One of them, her last day is today. She's been working with us. She's also been talking to Abby Johnson. I'm not going to give her a location, but please pray for her. And then we have 4 others that are on the verge of leaving that we've been talking to for the last week. And freedom is the word that they keep using. They are tired of having to justify their work to themselves every single day. And it's amazing how consistent that is with all of the workers that we've been in contact with. And so please keep them in your prayers. Finish strong. Feel free to talk to Molly about more hours. If you have, an extra hour or two in your day, or if you've not been able to fulfill your commitment up to this point in the campaign, now is the time to make an extra commitment, to take 5 more hours a week, or dedicate 2 or 3 more hours every Saturday. If you have to work during the week, this is the time to really finish strong, because this is the strongest point of the campaign. The community is used to you being out here. The workers are used to being out here. The escorts are used to you being out here. This is where all of the investments you made on the front end really start to build, and you see hearts and minds change the last couple of weeks of the 40 Days for Life campaign. And so please keep Molly in your prayers, as she is this is her 3rd 40 Days for Life campaign to lead. She's done an unbelievable job.
Brian.
All of this is possible is because of their selflessness and their willingness to ask so many people to do one of the most uncomfortable or controversial things you can do. It's hard to get people to come out and pray in front of an abortion facility, and yet we've seen over 500,000 people do it just over the last 4 years through 40 Days for Life, and many of you have been coming out for years. Some of you, this may be the first pro-life activity that you've ever been a part of. And so I thank Brian and Molly for their leadership, and all the leaders across the country. Keep them in your daily prayers as well. So if it's okay, can we close with an Our Father?
Absolutely.
All right. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.